Welcome to day 22 of this challenge. So we're at the start of a new week, and this week we are focusing on functional exercises. So this is where we start to reach a little further out into the body and we start to work on getting other muscle groups to work while reaching into the pelvic floor. The contractions that we will do for this week are going to be stronger than that 4 sustained contraction that we have been doing. And we're just going to take the contraction while we're doing the exercise, hold it for the exercise and then release it. So what I'd like you to target is a 5 or a 6. So about half as strong as you can contract. So this is the kind of contraction that you can hold for 20-30 seconds perhaps. Maybe even you can push that a little bit longer, but it's not something that you can hold through a full practice, for example. So with that in mind, we're going to today do push exercises. So we're working on the upper body, getting some engagement through the upper body while also then working on the pelvic floor. Now, if you're working on relaxation, you can skip through by jumping down into the description and hopping to that section. Otherwise, if you don't have strong push strength, which if you're not practicing yoga or doing a lot of push-ups or gym exercise, it's possible that maybe there is some weakness in the upper body. So then you have to start soft, and that's what we're going to do. We're actually going to start against the wall, which is a really nice place to start because you get to have a little feel of your body without a lot of weight on it. So it's not that you're taking your full weight in your hands, it's much softer. So just coming to the wall, we are going to have to try when we're in this position to be in a plank position. And for this, what we want to do is have a slight tilt posteriorly of the pelvis, and this engages the core. So you're locking the core in nice and strong before you start. When you bring the arms forward, you're going to protract the shoulder blades. So once your hands are on the wall, you're protracting. Your hands are going to be shoulder distance apart. You're going to be pressing this part of the knuckles into the floor, so like the mid hand, and the fingertips are going to be gripping. And as you lower yourself down, you want to imagine that you're locking the shoulder girdle in. So if I take my hands onto the wall and then I come into this plank position, the feet are just a tiny touch wider than hip distance. I'm going to lock in my core. The hands are about shoulder height, and I'm going to press into the hands to get the shoulders to protract. Press the index finger knuckles into the floor, and then I'm going to take my nice strong pelvic floor contraction, so a 5 or a 6, and then I'm going to lower down. And as you lower down, the weight goes into the heel of the hands, and keep holding your pelvic floor contraction. As you come back up, press into the mid hand to take you up. So lowering down, elbows coming towards the wall, keep the elbows in line with the shoulders and pressing back up. So the whole body is nice and strong here as you come down and up. One more time, keep holding that contraction nice and strong and pressing through the mid hand, come back up. Okay, give everything a little shake. So how did that feel? If you felt that's really easy, I could lower at the wall all day, no problem, then we can come to a lower surface. Now, you can, if for example, if you have stairs in your house, rather than going straight from the wall to the floor, you could go, say, to the 4th step with your hands, and you can do the pressing exercises there, and then you could try the 3rd step and the 2nd step. And if you get to the 2nd step and everything feels okay, you still can keep that nice engagement of the core and a good strong pelvic floor, then you know that you are ready to come to the mat. Now you might already be practicing yoga, in which case then it's, you can probably already come straight to the mat. But when we come to the mat, we start with keeping the knees down. So we're not going to actually come straight into a big strong plank. We're going to put the knees down. So come to an all 4s position. So the knees are stacked under the hips. The ankles are in line with the knees. The hands are planted with the shoulder over the elbow, over the wrist. Fingers spread nice and wide. Index finger knuckle nicely engaged into the floor, just gently gripping on the fingertips. So we're going to posterior tilt here as you engage your core. So nice and strong, and then we're going to just press the floor away so that we get the scapular protraction before we start. The elbows are not going out, the elbows are just going to bend as the body comes forward. So take your nice strong pelvic floor contraction, take the weight into your hand, and then bend your elbows as you lower the body forward. Nice and strong. And then keep the pelvic floor nice and strong, press back up. As you lower down, the weight is coming towards the heel of your hand. And as you press up, you're pressing through the mid hand to come up. So lowering down, nice strong pelvic floor, and pressing up. One more time. We lower down, nice and strong. We press back up. And we come back up. Okay, so if that felt really easy, if you're like, yeah, okay, I got this, I could do those all day, and you felt like you had a good engagement in the pelvic floor, you notice the body's moving forward, the elbows are bending, the shoulders are also moving forward. You need to keep that nice engagement through the protracted scapula as you come forward. If you feel like you're losing it anywhere there, work at the wall. Work on the steps before you work on the floor. And remember, with every single exercise you do, your focus, your primary focus, because you have pelvic floor dysfunction, your primary focus is always going to be the pelvic floor. So if you're doing the wall thing and you're finding, I don't quite got my pelvic floor here, then keep working on the wall until you get the pelvic floor with those pushes. And there is a connection, you will feel it, between what the activity when you're pushing and what's happening lower down. Okay, and then we're going to go for the strongest version of this, and that is to come into a full plank and go for chaturanga, which is the yoga press up. So the elbows again stay in line with the shoulders. In the end, your hands are on the floor, your elbows are around the waist, the shoulders are nice and strong, and you're in, like, let's say, a nice parallel line. Pelvic floor is strong, there's a small posterior tilt, everything is nice and active. Okay, so for this, we first come to an all fours position to start. So again, we're going to just take the hair out of the way so you can see what's happening around the shoulders. Plant the hands so that the shoulder is over the elbow, is over the wrist. Fingers spread nice and wide. Engage through the mid hand, grip gently with the fingers. We're going to step back into a plank. From here, we're going to just take a slight tuck of the pelvis. Make sure you're not collapsing in the back, so press the floor away before you start. Lift the pelvic floor up nice and strong, and then bend the elbows as you lower the body forward, and then press into the hands to come back up. And then nice strong pelvic floor, bend the elbows as you lower the body forward, press into the hands to come back up. One more of these. Bend the elbows as you come forward, press into the hands to come back up. Drop the knees, sit down for a child's pose, and come back up. So they're really tough. If you have it that you can come into that plank position and that you can lower down, but you don't have the strength to keep pushing yourself back up, that's okay. It's a good place to start with lowering. So actually just lower yourself all the way so that your belly's on the floor. And then usually we don't push back up into a plank from the chaturanga. We usually progress with the sequence on into an upward facing dog, for example. So it's quite hard. It takes quite a lot of energy to push back up again. So work where you find your body. With this exercise, again, remember the focus is on that nice strong pelvic floor contraction, on keeping that nice active pelvic floor as you go through that motion. So now we are going to focus on the relaxation for this video. So we have worked on the upper body, so we are going to allow a forward fold for this one, but as well as the forward fold, we're also going to do a little bit of an asymmetric stretch for the pelvic floor. So allow the left leg to be out in front, nice and soft and relaxed. Draw the right knee in towards the chest. Seal the knee, rotate from the hip to allow the leg to come down to the floor. Now, from this position, if you're feeling like you're collapsing here in the low back, put a little blanket or something underneath your backside. So allow yourself to come to a position where you're going to be able to fold forward. Now, if the knee is really high and it feels uncomfortable, or if there's any discomfort under the ankle, take a little blanket, place it underneath the leg. And this is not active. We're not going to push or pull here. We're just going to allow ourselves to fold forward. So just let everything be nice and soft. Let this leg hang, let this leg just be floating around in space, wherever it is, and then just allow yourself to come forward. And this is quite a deep stretch when you start to let go. So the spine gets a good stretch here. Allow the head to be very heavy and allow the rib cage to release. That will start to slowly bring you down, and depending on the flexibility in your body, things will start to move. And you can see my body shifting a little to the center. If you want to stay more over the leg, you can use a bolster or some other support. But it's also okay just to let your body do what it wants. We won't all look the same in this position. Bring your awareness into your pelvic floor. And I want you to notice how it feels on the right side of your pelvic floor. Notice if you feel any gripping around that area. And if you do, try to just release. Imagine that you can sense into the different muscles that are there. Imagine that you can just let each different part of tension, each little fiber that's tight, imagine if you can just let it go. If you can let it relax and be elastic. Notice how it feels on the outstretched leg. Can you allow it to let go? Maybe you feel the tension on the inside of that leg. Just notice if you are in a place where you feel a little tension, or if you're feeling the edge. Don't allow yourself to pass from tension into pain. Allow the shoulders to relax. Feel the expansion through the back of the body as you allow yourself to surrender forward. And then starting to take the first of 3 long, deep breaths. With each inhalation, try to take the breath through the back of the body, expanding the rib cage from behind. With each exhalation, allowing yourself to become even heavier. Inhaling deeply and exhaling completely. One more deep inhalation, then bring a little energy into your hands, gently pressing the hands into the floor, and very slowly, very mindfully, we come back up. So moving slow and steady. You're going to bring your hands around that bent knee, release the leg out, and notice the difference between the left leg and the right leg. Usually after this stretch, it can feel like you have a long leg and a short leg. So just give everything a little wiggle. I'm going to go for the same stretch on the opposite side. So let that right leg be really soft now. Just let it be loose. Take the left in, seal the knee, rotate from the hip. Allow the leg to come down to wherever it will. If you need supports here, if you need a bolster or anything else, we're not going for a shape with the body, we're going for a let go. So whatever way your connective tissue is going to take you in this position, you're going to allow yourself to surrender so that you can have a good release. So just allow yourself to fold forward in whatever way that is for you. And just when your body folds forward, let it do what it will. Just make sure that you don't feel any pain in any of your joints. Make sure that you're not pushing or pulling. Allow the weight of your rib cage and your head to be heavy. Allow yourself to surrender. It's okay if the knee pops up on the outstretched leg. Just allow your body to be as it is. If you need to make a wee adjustment, go ahead and do that. Notice your pelvic floor. I want you to notice how it feels on the left side of your pelvic floor. Notice if you can feel any tension on that side. If you find any little parts of tension. Imagine that the inhalation can create space and length. Imagine that the exhalation allows a rest where that space and length exists. Imagine no effort is needed to be there. Notice how it feels on the inside of the outstretched leg, on the hamstrings on the back of the outstretched leg. Can you allow those areas to gently release? Notice how it feels in your spine.
Are you surrendering the weight of your body forward? Try to let go. Allow gravity to take you. Noticing softness between the soles of the feet, the palms of the hands, and the top of the head. And then starting to take the first of 3 long, deep breaths. Each inhalation expanding through the backside of the body. Each exhalation allowing you to melt a little deeper into your mat. Inhaling deeply and exhaling completely. One last deep inhalation. And bring some energy into the fingers. Gently press the hands into the floor. Slowly walking yourself back up. Then we're going to take that left leg in. We're going to release it. Give the legs a little shake, a little wiggle. And that is it for today's practice. So I hope you managed to reach in and find a little bit of extra strength in your body. And I hope you managed to feel the connection between the pushing motion and the pelvic floor. And I also hope that you had a really nice release in that relaxation portion. And please do have a lovely day and come back again tomorrow. We have even more to do tomorrow. We're not finished with this little journey. And even if you find that maybe your body isn't quite there yet, stick with it. Persistent practice will actually build a lot of strength and coordination and function in your body. Have a really lovely day.